Welcome to the Good Place Marionville podcast, dedicated to highlighting the good right here in Marionville, Missouri. You know, police presence is an interesting topic, and everyone seems to have an opinion. Some people like to see the police on every corner, rolling through town and watching out for everyone, while others would rather believe that no news is good news. If there's no police around, everything must be fine. Well, instead of basing our beliefs on opinions, let's get some details straight from the department. Today, we're going to find out what the future of the Marionville Police Department looks like.
There's been a lot of change in our policing over the years, which raises a lot of questions. Today, let's find some answers as we talk with Mark Webb, Marionville's police chief. He's an interim police chief. We're going to try to convince him to stay on longer. Mark Webb, welcome to the Good Place Marionville podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, Jim, Martha.
You bet.
So let's start with Mark Webb, the individual. Tell us about yourself. Married, kids, where you live, that kind of stuff.
Oh, currently live in between Stratford and Fairgrove, and I've lived there over right at 35 years.
Wow.
Have two daughters and two sons. My wife's Cherie. We've been married about 22 years, and they're spread out from Key Largo to Beulah, North Dakota, and in between.
Wow.
So what you're saying is you're already putting in a plug. You're going to need some vacation time.
Definitely.
To suffer seeing the kids in Key Largo and truly suffering to go to Beulah, North Dakota.
Correct.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, you are no stranger to Marionville. Let's talk about your work history. What does that look like?
Well, it's 45 years of full-time policing or law enforcement. As a kid, I don't know why, but I always wanted to be a police officer, and I wanted to be a Springfield police officer. So at 15, I was a police cadet and stayed there till I was 20. They hired me with the Springfield, Missouri Police Department. Ended up staying there for almost 28 and a half 27 and a half, 28 years.
Wow.
Retired from there as a police lieutenant in charge of community services, which is kind of the COP of Springfield. Was in charge of all the substations, SMS, Commercial Street, in those different areas, but did a lot of the parties and the downtown, events.
Okay.
Pub crawls and things. We were responsible for a lot of that.
The police were in charge of the pub crawls?
Yeah, to try to keep them.
The security part of
I
it.
see what I'm saying.
To try to keep some order.
Keep it under control.
Trying. I'm not saying it happened.
You didn't mention, do you have any grandkids yet?
I have 8.
You have
Oh my
eight
goodness.
grandkids.
8 of them.
That's what everybody wanted to know. Like, when Mark left here, he didn't have any grandkids.
Yeah,
Now
we
he's got
stuck.
8 grandkids.
That's amazing.
And the newest one is in North Dakota.
Ooh. Have you seen the newest one in North Dakota yet?
We were up there last year.
Excellent.
Right.
Excellent.
She was born. Her name's Reese. So
Okay, so then you have history, though, in Marionville. So after your time working in Springfield, what happened?
well, after that, I retired. I got to go to a law school that was basically in Paducah, Kentucky. It folded. I came back and was playing golf with a bunch of my retired buddies from Springfield.
Yeah.
And one of them, his name was Ron Hutchison. He was also a lieutenant. He said, we were playing golf. He said, hey, I'm taking a job in Marionville. Why don't you come out and help me a couple of days? And I said, yeah, I'll come help you, Ron. So I came out and basically he said, well, I need a little more help. And then I ended up being the assistant chief. And then he's like, he had some medical issues. And he's like, I'm going to have to bow out if you want to stay. And Doris Rapp was the mayor at that time. And she's like, we're going to make you the chief, so good luck. Here you go. So,
And those of you who know Doris know just what that sounded like.
That's exactly
You're
right.
going to be the chief. Don't give me any garbage. Just do it.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you had this time that you were working in Marionville, and then you had another retirement, right? So I hear a theme here. You retire, you come back, you retire, you come back. What does that look like now?
Well, it looks like I guess I failed at retirement. As far as what
Fair enough.
Good thing to fail at, I guess.
And retired from Ball after I ended up in Bolivar. Actually, I left. We put Aurora and Marionville together, Chief Richard Wattoon and I, because Marionville we were having trouble basically staffing it 24/7.
Okay.
And we felt like it would get better coverage. So that's how it ended up there. I'm not so sure how it worked out through the years. He stayed longer than I did. I got basically a job in Bolivar, Missouri, and I moved there to take over as their police chief and stayed there almost 12 years.
So then the call comes to the bullpen in December and says, Mark, we're going to be splitting Aurora Marionville Police Department back in two. Would you consider pitch hitting? Oh, that'd be closing the game. I don't know what. I don't know. Middle relief.
I think it's because they already knew me, they already trusted me, and I think, as according to my wife Cherise, and I think they still like you, because when you're the police chief, not everybody's going to like you, because you end up in situations where you're not going to make everybody happy.
Sure.
So, and that'll probably happen here at some point, but that's kind of how that goes.
So let's camp a little longer in the conversation about the history of the Marionville Police Department. We've had our own department, then we merged with Aurora, and that you said 12 or 13 years ago that happened, right?
It was 20, I think it was 20, into 2012 is when that happened.
All right, so 13 years ago. And now we're back to having our own. Even though this has taken place over a period of 13 years, some people feel like they have whiplash from the changes. Help us walk through the chain of events that brought us back to today, having our own Marionville Police Department again.
Well, like I say, I was learning how to be retired. My wife and I would been on a couple of cruises last year. I'd retired on Valentine's Day last year. Kind of getting adjusted to, like I say, being in the house together, and her space is her space, and mine is over the garage out away at the other end of the house or the barn. So that was kind of how we were adjusted. And actually, she was really pretty content with that. We got off a cruise, and then, like I say, some calls from people in Marionville, like, hey, would you call us and talk to us? So I ended up doing it, and it's like we're splitting back apart. We've only got so much time, and would you consider, I guess would be the right term, coming and helping us get started again? So,
I think this is such a valuable conversation because, it's often hard to understand, and we never will understand all of the back end workings of an organization. But one of the things you just said, I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say, is that, it was hard to keep it staffed 13 years ago with coverage. So a lot of people, kind of assume something, or they make up, or they say, well, I heard this or I heard that. And that's why I love having you here today, because I think what we want to focus on, of course, on the Good Place Marionville podcast, is the good news of what this brings to the table. So as we look at it today, we are back using the police station on Western with cars that have been relabeled with Marionville Police on the side and new signage and things like that. But most importantly, what does this really mean for our town to have police station and staff right here in town? What is it going to mean for Marionville?
Well, after some discussion with Chief Coatney over there in Aurora, Aurora has more issues or more police-related requests for service than Marionville. So a lot of times the resources that were available were kind of focused in Aurora, and he fully admits it, that now that we're here in Marionville, we're not hooked to that entity any longer, so we can focus on Marionville's issues solely. Again, with 4 officers and myself, it'll be really hard to give 24/7, 365 police service. So I've spoken with Sheriff DeLay up in Mount Vernon, and he's very helpful in basically filling in if we're unable to have somebody on because of sickness, or the kids are sick, or training. We have to do 25 hours of training every year to keep our license as police officers. So you got to go to training. Some of it you can get online, some of it you got to go to in person, and you got to go to the range. You can't do that online. So things like that.
Yeah, that'd be a little difficult.
Things like that. So, and you got to kind of space out, because you still have to provide service. So it's kind of 2 can go this time, 2 might go next time, and just you have to kind of balance all this now, because of you only have so much resources to basically provide the service.
Sure.
So the good news is we have police that will be here regularly. Your ideas behind policing are a little bit different than maybe what we've experienced over the last 12 years. Why don't you explain, or 13 years, why don't you explain your idea behind community policing.
Well, community policing, that's kind of the latest name for it. It seems like, after being in law enforcement for as long as I have, it seems like a lot of these issues or programs or new ways of policing seem to recycle. And they come up and then they'll kind of wane and go away, and then something else, but it looks like it's been repackaged and renamed. So community-oriented policing, and I think it was team policing before that, and then there was another name, and I can't really think of it right off the top of my head now.
Neighborhood policing, I think it was, or there was something neighborhood. I know
Neighborhood watch, is that kind of
Neighborhood watch is part of community policing.
Okay.
And involving the community with with the police department. So
we get it. It brings a lot of emotion. You get choked up.
I think it was the Lions Club lunch at Alice Irene.
Lions Club special. If you haven't had the Lions Club special, you could join us on the Lions Club the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. Come serve your community through a civic organization, the Lions Club. There
you go. That was a good
commercial for the Lions Club.
Good plug there, Jim. So let's talk about this community policing a little bit more. What do you see as that looking like here in Marionville?
Community policing to me is basically retro policing, because when I started out of the police academy in Springfield in around 1980, it was you got out and met the people that are working in the convenience stores, and you stopped and talked to the business owners. You pulled over for the people planting their flower beds or planting tomatoes, or they're walking their dog, and you would just come up and have conversation, person to person, and try to give them, we're here, we're the police. Yeah, we're a blue suit that's going to show up when you call 911, but we're also, I'm Mark, your police officer, and I'm kind of assigned to this area. So if you have any issues, give me a call. Here's my card, or, you can always call the police department. And so kind of the retro policing to me is community policing. So I want to try to bring that back here, because when people get out of the police academy, they get a lot of required training that they have to go through in order to get their license, but they don't have, it's 6 months basically, and they don't have time to really get into the nuances of interpersonal communication. And with the technology today, a lot of people are uncomfortable about sitting here talking face to face with another individual. Right. So you've got to communicate, got to talk, got to visit, got to.
So what I hear you saying is, especially because we have felt, like maybe we haven't had interactions with the police department. I guess that's a good thing, right? If you weren't in trouble, you haven't had an interaction. But what you're trying to say is, let's create a relationship before there's a problem, so that we know, oh, there's Mark, there's the police chief. I feel comfortable with him because I know he's taking care of me. I don't want to just automatically go, oh no, there's a problem because I see you. But building that relationship so that we can be confident in knowing that you're the one that's got our backs, and honestly, then we can have each other's backs too. I think it goes a long way when we know that there's people out there, that want to get to know us as people. So is that what you're hoping then, that the people that are all going to be working for you will be doing, is more of that meet and greet type of relationship building?
It is. And I want them to do those things I've just described. And again, I'm very selective about the people. I've got 2 openings currently, and I'm looking for the right fit for our police department, because when you have a small group or a small team like that, the wrong fit can really cause issues with the whole, basically, team. If
somebody's interested in filling one of those positions, or they know somebody that they think might be a good fit or be interested, how do they apply, or where do they go to get connected?
They can go to the City of Marionville City Hall, and also they now have that application online with the City of Marionville, Missouri. So.
Okay, so a couple of openings, still open full-time, part-time?
Full-time.
Okay, awesome.
With benefits.
That's wonderful to know. So what else? We have this moment where you have the captive audience of everybody watching this podcast. What is it that you want Marionville to know that you can just talk directly to them right now?
Well, I want them to know that I'm their police chief, and if they will let me know, and I'm not going to tell everybody to call the police department or call me, but somehow let me know, or let the community or the board members, whoever you feel comfortable with contacting, what type of policing you'd like to see back here. We can bring in strict enforcement. We can do a lot of traffic enforcement. We can do different things, but like I say, I'm more for the community oriented approach, and I want to build those relationships with the community and the business owners. And they've had me at the Methodist Manor already and the Lions Club today, just kind of getting out and meeting the people. I got some questions about, I was walking up and down Highway 60 because they were working on my car and hillbillies. And so they said, the chief's out here walking the beat. Well, I did it in 1980, and I guess.
Are you sure you weren't just going for an ice cream?
No, it's too early, probably.
I made it to Casey's.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, I'm imagining, and we'll find out the best way for people if they just have comments or want to, make a suggestion or something like that. But off the top of my head, I would guess that the texmy.gov app is a great way to communicate with the city. But I also know the city has emails and things like that. I'll find out, and we'll put that in the show notes for people so that they feel like they have a way they can get a hold of you without calling 911, because we want to save that for emergencies, but also be able to communicate with you. And I appreciate your open invitation for those remarks.
Anything further? You got anything else, Mark?
Well, again, I bring priorities. I have different priorities, and those priorities involve, I want to train my officers and coach and mentor and try. I wish there's some way I could put some type of a device on to download 45 years of policing.
That'd be great.
How would that be great?
into the young police officers that come out that may have 1 or 2 years on, and that may be the people we end up hiring because, we're a smaller police agency. So, but anyway, just trying to focus on, and I've already told them, the 2 officers I have currently, I've already told them, I said, priorities for me, if you want to be successful with Mark Webb's Marionville Police Department: crimes against kids, domestic violence, crimes against women, the mental health or behavioral health issues. And I do have an officer that is CIT trained. And
what's CIT?
CIT is crisis intervention training.
Okay.
It's a 40-hour basic training. It kind of exposes basically the autism and the different things you encounter when you show up on a police call, and you may not realize that that's what it is unless you've had this training.
Gotcha.
To recognize, hey, something may not be quite right here just because they're not responding to my requests or commands. There could be something else. Kind of more of that type training. And again, we'll probably do some follow-up on those calls to try to make sure that we hook them to available resources here in the community. And we're still looking, like the Clark Center and other basically resources that are available. And the last one is seniors, and that's always been the hardest one to get because they're in fear of their autonomy, that, the police may take my license, or they may. So again, but we want to be here to help and kind of support all those communities, because basically those are the people that are usually our vulnerable victims, and that's a priority for us.
Well, I think those are great priorities. Thank you for sharing them with us, and hopefully everybody is hearing the heart behind what you've got going on.
Yeah, and Mark Webb, we're so grateful to have you here in town. So grateful to have the Marionville Police Department back in town as well. Hey, this episode of the Good Place Marionville podcast sponsored by the Bank of Billings. Banking in Marionville is more than just a convenient location. Our bank has a heart for this community, as seen through their involvement all over the place. Every transaction has meaning because the bank supports so many community initiatives and individuals. Thank you to the Bank of Billings for all that you represent. All of your people so involved in our community. We're so grateful for you. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
In first responder news, we've really already covered a lot of the first responder news as we've discussed the things going on with the police department. Jim, is there any fire department news that you want to report?
There is. Sometime in the next month, we'll have a new brush truck because our old brush truck blew up. Not really exploded, but it was beyond repair. So that'll help us out in the rural areas. Those of you listening to this just outside of Marionville, help put out those grass and brush fires. Also, just today, hot off the presses at the Lions Club meeting, the Lions Club gave a grant to our Marionville Fire Department for $500 towards CO2 detectors to be installed in homes here in Marionville. If you're in need of a CO2 detector, contact City Hall and they'll get a hold of Chris Bowling and we'll get some firefighters out there to install that in your home.
Awesome. Speaking of Lions Club.
Yeah, speaking of Lions Club, check out that calendar. Randy Smart, our local insurance agent downtown, takes all the pictures inside this calendar, and the Lions Club sells these as a fundraiser. One calendar is $10, but if you buy two, it's only $15. If you buy five, it's only $25. And look at these pictures. One of these pictures in here, I can't remember if I'll get it. It's got a squirrel doing like a handstand. There it is. A squirrel doing a handstand going upside down. All these white squirrel pictures taken right here in town.
And where can they get the calendar?
All over town. Smart Insurance right here at Centra Place, out at Alice Irene's next door at the Gathering. And the pharmacy.
Excellent. All right, so this is the time. Even if you've gotten a 2026 calendar,
it's not from Marionville.
It's kind of artwork along with the calendar, so make sure you get that and support the Lions Club. In other nonprofit news, the 2026 Applefest planning is beginning, believe it or not. Our first meeting of the new year is January 26th at 6:30 right here at Centra Place. So if you've been thinking about getting involved and participate in this year's festival, this is a great time to attend and you are invited.
Hey, the next Marionville Business Connect meeting will be at Centra Place on the 28th of January at 4 o'clock. Mark Webb, our interim police chief, will be our guest. And if you run or manage a business here in Marionville or do business in Marionville, we would love for you to attend the meeting to get to know our police chief and just meet other business people doing business right here in town. We want to bring together our business community in favor of our town all the time. Feel free to email Martha at iworkforhim.com for more details.
So I just want to say thank you, Mark Webb, for being our guest today. It's been so great to get to know you better and to hear some insights about the city workings and what is happening here in Marionville. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks also to the Bank of Billings for sponsoring today's podcast. Consider becoming a sponsor. You can contact us at goodplacemarionville at hotmail.com. You can also report good news about Marionville by email to goodplacemarionville at hotmail.com.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified when the new episode releases.
Thanks for joining us for the Good Place Marionville podcast, episode number 70. Keep your eyes out for the good happening right here in Marionville, and together we can celebrate our great town, Marionville, Missouri.